How's it going, Justice Warriors? Justice Warrior League? How are you guys? I am so sorry to make you wait, but I had to fix my necklace. Now, I actually had to get a bunch of work done, and I was simultaneously trying to catch the rest of Shan's live from last night. It was so cute. She was doing a spooky live. So I was getting all inspired. I was like, I need to make my set spookier. So how is everybody? Thank you so much for being here. And I do apologize for setting the time back and then being late again. It is just like impossible. This is why I usually do the surprise live, so then I don't have to apologize for doing that. Anyway, how's everybody doing today? Let's do the regular. Please hit your like button and share the video if you think you know somebody who doesn't know my channel yet that might like it. Make sure you are subscribed. If you are a subscriber, make sure you haven't gotten unsubscribed inadvertently. And if you're not a subscriber, think about hitting that button. It's like no commitment. It's really just like a thing that you do, kind of like hitting the like button. It just helps the algorithm. And then you might want to turn on your notification bell to ring so that you are aware when I am flying in and crashing on your scene. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm always just like delighted to come on live. I'm delighted to have viewers. I'm delighted to have a channel. I know I say that a lot, but I still like I have to pinch myself. I can't get over it. So, I am number 11. Ha ha ha, you're not. That's a good number. That's like the angel number, right? Very good number. Um, so where are we at? Did we leave off somewhere yesterday that I was supposed to pick up today? I know we did that the day before yesterday and then picked up with the PTSD stuff and how to turn that into a catalyst for positive change rather than just being triggered and, coming unglued and getting set off. So, let's see. I am just gonna get my water, keep playing with my hair, just, do all these adjustments. I got my coffee. Oh no, I'm not allowed to drink it anymore. It's 24 minutes after 12. Now I'm just gonna have to guzzle because I do need to show you guys my cool, cool mug. And there is lipstick on it and words that say, I don't want you to look at the lipstick. Lessons from a tree. Reach for the sky. Remember your roots. Be content with your natural beauty. Is that so cool? I knew you guys would love it. So, anyway, just don't look at the lipstick and stuff, right? I'll tell you guys a secret. I've been wearing one shade of one brand of lipstick since when was it? The mid 90s, you guys. Like, and you might remember if you're old like I am, in the mid 90s, MAC brand makeup was like the shit, right? And Twig was the shit. I bet you Scully on X-Files was wearing Twig, but that's what I'm wearing right now. That's the only lipstick I will ever wear. I could go on, but I've tried a couple others. I've even tried a couple other MAC ones, and nothing will do but Twig, even though I know it's very dated. Um, Scully and those lips. Duchovny, Scully, Fox, Scully. What was her name? Gillian Anderson. Anyway, enough. Let's just get focused. We have so much to freaking talk about. First, prayers for these victims up there in Maine, in Lewiston, Maine. And can they just catch the rat bastard suspect, please? Like before he hurt somebody else. And so that people that live in that state can like breathe for a minute, because like the whole freaking state is in lockdown, you guys. The whole freaking state, to my understanding. And they should be. They absolutely should be. So let's just have a moment of silence and prayer for people who lost loved ones, people who are fighting for their survival in the hospital, and people who are trying to track this MF. Just a moment of silence, please. Yeah. Yes, much appreciated the look-see and compliment. I watched your video this morning, Mark Molina, from last night. I'm sorry that I missed your live last night, but it was another great one. I was gonna do a reaction video to it, kind of, sort of, and I'm for real. Anyway, let me do my disclaimer that everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to open up a decent conversation and be educational, get educated, and just to keep pushing these cases forward, these cases that really need justice. So all videos that I've made to date have all been for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform that I don't understand, but that's a whole nother episode, right? I am almost done with my coffee. So you know I have rules and I have structure and I have my routine. I like to be reliable. I like to be consistent, but I also like to be flexible. So I'll allow myself to finish the whole thing because to me, coffee is like gold. You do not throw that stuff away. At least I don't. So I want to talk about our cases. I want to talk about our dear Ms. Kylie Rodney. I want to talk about the Idaho 4 that is just completely insane. It seems as though Judge has given the green light for cameras in the court, which is kind of funny. I was hoping he would do that. I kind of thought he would just because both sides were saying that they were opposed to it, that that would be the only fair thing to do in a sense. But I mean, I think he's a fair judge. So if he had denied access to media, to cameras, I I trust this guy. I hope that it's not misplaced trust because you know me, I don't trust anybody. But when you have a name like Mr. Judge and you're a judge, it's sort of like Mr. District Attorney and you're a district attorney. That's a Kids in the Hall skit. The guy's like, my name is not Mr. District Attorney. And the judge is like, well, Mr. District Attorney, why does everyone keep calling you that then? So, anyway, I'll see if I can link that. Um, Yeah. So that shooter in Maine, you guys, he has like 20 years experience, I believe, with ballistics, like training people in the military or for the military or something like that. The man, the monster, the primary suspect, the primary person of interest is 40 years old. I don't want to say his name because I don't think these people deserve their freaking 15 minutes of fame because you got to know, if you don't already, that some perps do this type of thing just for that, just for the 15 minutes of fame, just to be on the news, just to be on the cover of the newspaper, hoping maybe to go down in a textbook for those criminology students to study. Like seriously, this is why I try not to use their faces on thumbnails if I think they're guilty. I try not to use their names ever. Like they don't deserve to have a name if they're guilty. Um, Anyway, he was released from a psychiatric facility, it seems, maybe 2 weeks ago, and he was on a 14-day hold. So it sounds like, it's different state to state. So California, I believe, is the only state that calls it a 5150. In Florida, I know they call it being Baker acted. In Washington State, I honestly don't think we had a thing like that. We just had 72-hour hold. We just called it a civil commitment because it's not a criminal commitment, it's a civil commitment. So it's different. If you're a danger to yourself or others due to a mental illness, it's different than if you're a danger to yourself or others because you're a jackass. Seriously. So that was my job, was to weigh out if this person was actually mentally ill and that was actually what was making them a danger. And in Washington state, I felt like it was too lenient, too liberal, too much freedom that people had to be as crazy as they wanted, so long as they weren't a danger to themselves and others. Because in almost every other state in our country, you can get two doctors to commit somebody and pretty much lock them up and throw away the key. to my knowledge, Washington State and Alaska are the only two that aren't like that. So that's why when doctors go to these states, they take for granted that they have that kind of authority in every state. And they come into these other two states not knowing that they don't have that authority. I mean, if they believe that the person needs to be locked up, then hopefully they probably do. But it takes, in Washington anyway, it takes a county designated mental health professional to weigh out the laws and the ethics and the leniency. The liberal part of it is that you have to go with the least restrictive alternative. So you can't just say, yeah, this person's dangerous, lock them up. You can say, yeah, this person is dangerous. They need to be supervised by their spouse, if their spouse is trustworthy, if their spouse feels safe, if, I mean, normally if somebody's getting referred, they do get their civil rights stripped for the 72-hour hold. And normally if they get the 72-hour hold, then the psychiatric team will further assess and treat, and it typically goes into a 14-day hold after the 72-hour hold. So that guy, it's really sad. It's really sad that he was released and had an AR-15, and they still can't identify some of the victims because of the AR-15 and what that does to a person. It's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. And I think about that guy that I told you guys about yesterday, the one who was bowling, who had like the bowling ball in his hand and was letting go of it to go down the lane when he heard what he thought was a balloon popping behind him. And he turned around after he laid down his bowling ball and he saw that a guy had just come in the door with a rifle, and he ran down the bowling lane and slid into where the pins go and then climbed up the thing and was hanging in there for like 10 minutes until the authorities arrived. And like that's a cool survivor story, and that's amazing that he was able to survive. And when I mentioned it yesterday, I was like, I would have been scared to death because I don't know what goes on in those bowling pin things, and I would have been afraid that I could have gotten crushed. Probably still would have tried it because you know what this guy's going to try to do. And what hit me last night was trigger warning. Huh, let me take a drink. What hit me last night was thinking about what that guy was hearing while he was up in that thing, that 10 minutes, what he was listening to. Like, that must have been a nightmare that is going to haunt him. So let's talk about something more lighthearted, please, 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 please. And going right into Shan's live from last night that I didn't get to quite finish, but her and Billy Darling. I love Billy Darling, don't you guys? She's kind of a regular on Shan's panels, and she's just so sweet. She's got such a great voice. But they were doing like a spooky night, and it was really cool and funny and, much more lighthearted than this crap up in Maine. That's unbelievable. So I kind of want to drop it because it's just going to make me cry. No live for Mark today or weekend. I'm getting outside, going on a play date with your dog. So I can't believe when I was talking about ways to keep ourselves safe and keep our doors locked and our windows locked and a whistle and mace and all that jazz, security systems, security plans. I missed the most obvious one. And Mark, I'm surprised you didn't bring it up. The dog. Like the dogs are the coolest alarm systems. They're the best security systems, in my opinion. And they're just good friends. They're good company. So they have multi-purpose, and they're definitely man's best friend in my estimation. Missing IDs could be kid victims who do not often carry wallets. Oh, Fred. Cry now. Yeah, because it was family night. For anybody who didn't know that, it was family night. So yeah, there were a lot of young people there. And they haven't really gone into that. Ah, a brilliant observation, Fred, and I fear that that's probably the problem, and they don't want to, of course, have any family ID these kids. They're going to want to identify them by their clothing, but probably DNA, right? And dental records. So that they have a real and accurate ID, not a fake one. So that's just so freaking sad. So I wanted to say this phrase because this is one of my favorites. This was some cliche words of wisdom that my mother taught me and often said, and I often say, and I think it's so true. And it applies to places like Idaho and places like Truckee. Careful what you ask for because you just might get it. So when I say that it applies to Truckee, in Truckee, they asked for the public's help in finding Kylie, and they got the public's help in finding Kylie, and Kylie was found, and they've been kind of pissing and moaning ever since. And they asked for it. They asked for it. I'm sure they did not expect the story to become like the center of this national media frenzy that it became, because it was such a cockamamie story. That's why it took center stage, and that's why for a lot of us it has maintained center stage for over a year, because none of it ever made a bit of sense. I mean, the whole thing is just whack. And then you've got these characters that are just lying sacks of shit. Pardon my language. Oh, Ninja Chihuahua put out a new one in the last 12 hours or so, and she did a clip, I think, that was off of one of MC's new ones. And somebody called in and claimed that they were 16 years old. They were talking about being a 16-year-old in Truckee, and I could have sworn that person sounded exactly like Xanamay. And I wrote that comment in Ninja's comment section. Um, I mean, these people are just up to all kinds of shenanigans, and like, what's his name, douchebag, King douchebag, SF investigates, like from jump. He tried to pretend that he was like Mr. Nice Guy who just has all this free time and likes to show up to places where people need his help. Right. Yeah, he wasn't hired by anybody, I'm sure. I mean, that guy is part of a lot of crap. It's obvious. It is obvious. When you just those characters, just Scammy the snake with her little snake eyes and her snake grin and her confabulations and stopping mid-sentence and all that. Scammy, Xanamay, SF. Like, what more do you need? You've got a recipe for some vile crap. What the F happened to Kylie? What the F happened? Like, spill it. Arrest somebody. Like, that's one of the things that's pissed me off the most with the Idaho 4, comparing that to Truckee. In Idaho 4, it looks like they have a fall guy that they've arrested. Why don't they have a fall guy that they've arrested for freaking Truckee? Because they're trying to pretend that she was in an accidental, natural, self-inflicted, fatal situation. And yeah. Oh goodness. Hey, JR Nana Boomer, no cameras inside building ATM to see before? No cameras inside the bowling alley? Or are you talking about a different case? Because I think that the picture that they have of him on the news, I figured that was from when he walked into the bowling alley. Am I wrong? Because he also went to like a bar and grill place. It seems that it might even be a domestic violence type of thing, that it might be that he was looking for this woman that he knew that frequented the bar, allegedly. That's what I've caught on the news. Ellie can't confirm any info when asked. I think this is right, Fred. Smack my head. So sorry. The world is brutal, but I have hope. We're human and evolving, understanding things today we have no idea about yesterday. You can't stop truth. So at some point yesterday, you guys, I was listening to a news station that said that there were 22 victims. And then this morning it says 18 again. So I don't know why it went up and then back down, but it reminded me of the whole thing with Maui with the numbers are inflated at first and then they settle. No, they don't. They start small and then they creep up as people that are hospitalized don't make it and that kind of thing, right? Um, please tell me I'm on the right track. And cabin in the woods. You think that's where that creep is, Casey? I do. We know what didn't happen. She did not drive herself into the lake. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. It's so absurd. And Mark, was it you who pointed out that they never said on mainstream media that she was found in the back hatch? They only said she was found in her car because that's brilliant. And there's a lot of things like that that are coming up again and again. There's no fall guy because they use the accident excuse because they don't want to discourage their leisure tenants. Exactly. Exactly. But I mean, Idaho has a lot of leisure tenants too. I mean, a lot of people go there for hunting and skiing, in my understanding. So, yeah. Reckoning did a reading yesterday, I think, about the Maine shooter. Very interesting. Oh, cool. I got to check that out. I want to stay in this bubble. CB, absolutely. Kylie did not drive into the lake in the hatch. Hey, Sandra. Mark, awesome idea. I just came in from my Florida comfortable air, going outside and checking on my plants, watching my pitties playing with my feral cat colony and my sycamore leaves fall. Jazz, media bias. Yes, they never put sus on the case. Right, right. I mean, that whole community of Truckee has major ties with the media, just like Maui, Lahaina, major ties with the media. I mean, so many heavy hitters, you guys, that live in these places and that own property in these places. They may have changed definitely of definition of victim to not include non-fatal injuries. Well, yeah, I mean, at first it was like 50 were hospitalized, and I think they were saying 15 were fatal, and then 50 hospitalized, and then later in the day it was 22 fatal. They didn't update on that news, the hospitalized, but now I think it's gone to 18 fatal and like 20 that are still in the hospital. Hierarchy, the Truckee way, the major council has a queen bee and not the mayor. So I've said it again and again with the Idaho 4 case, it's so obvious you've got like the kings and the queens and the jacks. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I've always felt that way about Kylie Rodney's case with Truckee and the queen, the fight for the throne, the Game of Thrones, you guys. I mean, it's always felt to me that that was what was going on, that Sammy was competing with Kylie. We know that Sammy was competing for a couple of love interests with Kylie. We know that Sammy was an actress. I wonder if she tried playing instruments or singing. And, Kylie was freaking amazing. So if she did try singing or playing an instrument, or if she was too scared and not confident enough to, I could see her being extremely jealous of Kylie for that too. I mean, Kylie was recording. Didn't she do like a whole CD like the year before she passed? She was a recording artist as a 16-year-old, maybe as a 15-year-old. I'm sure earlier than that too. I mean, we know she was, you know, a performer, like kind of a performing circus animal or monkey for the guests at the lodge and for these events. And yeah, she always had that really pensive look on her face and did not seem the least bit entertained with the idea of entertaining these people when she's like 7. Like, I mean, that's a lot of discipline for a little kid to be learning violin and piano and guitar and ukulele or whatever. I mean, kids love that stuff, but mostly they just want to frolic. They don't want to do like organized, structured stuff. They certainly don't want to hang out with adults and perform. I mean, that's ridiculous. Um, let's see. Yeah, Annie Ruler, Truckee Water Company's holding mail in Hawaii. Why? Wow. Um, Great insight, Annie. Mark Molina says Annie Ruler always has the great insight. I dang girl. If you think about it, the passenger window down would make her car roll over sideways, upside down, not nosedive, causing her to go to hatch. Yeah. Yeah, and then just with like the dents on the roof of the car. I mean, the whole thing with the car is so sus AF. I mean, the whole turning the car over underwater, like I couldn't believe that was happening. I could not believe that was happening. Hmm. Excuse me. CB, yes, and goes down quicker. It must be obvious if all windows were down. Osho rushed, I believe, because of putting on sock and shoe. Someone. Uh-huh. Yeah, that sock and shoe, and then the underpants over the thong. That was very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. I feel like Xanamay had to dive down and unbuckle seatbelt. She had to dive down for something. She had that torpedo thing, and then remember on the when she was on one of the lives and everybody was like, Xanamay, get a window breaker, get a window breaker, get a window breaker. Like that was so bizarre. And like how much money did these people like the American Dream Chaser, how much money did he make off the Kylie Rodney case? Like that is just gross. That is so gross. And then for Kylie Rodney's father and grandfather to be suing Ryan Upchurch rather than people like that guy. And why would they be suing Upchurch? Because it's like the low hanging fruit. Like they probably think Upchurch will just write a check and settle and be done with it. And you know what? I hope he takes it to trial because I would like to see them try to squeeze some cash out of him. It's absurd. It's absurd. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. Like if they were to win their case against Upchurch, we'd be living in a Nazi regime. Like seriously, in my humble opinion. Um CB, yes, and goes down quicker. It is so obvious if all windows were down. Also rushed, I believe. Okay, I read that one. Let's highlight it so that I know that I read it. And uh, yeah, I think Xanamay's name starts with an X, but I don't know and I don't care. She's just gross. And I just couldn't believe that she was trying to pass herself off as a 16-year-old on MC's YouTube channel, if that was her trying to pass herself off as a 16-year-old on MC's YouTube channel. But what I loved, what Ninja did was pointing out that the YouTube is for 18 years old and older, and especially being on a panel. Like, give me an effing break. You guys are morons. Weird how they don't have all the forensics that last forever on Kylie. What happened to the bodysuit of Kylie's? Absolutely. Hey, day by day, welcome on the car that was not Kylie's. So much effery, isn't there? I mean, how do we keep up? That's their plan, is just the gaslighting so that people just give up, right? It's crazy. So, on Shan's live from last night, her and Billy Darling, sorry, they were talking about Mean Girls and how that is so much like what we saw with the whole thing in Truckee. I've always thought of the movie Heathers, which to me is like the original Mean Girls. Honestly, I feel like, and I love Tina Fey, but I felt like she really plagiarized the entire script of Heathers and regurgitated it into Mean Girls. And Mean Girls was a great movie if you hadn't seen Heathers and you didn't know that. And maybe it's still a great movie on its own, but I mean, plagiarizing is plagiarizing. I like to say that imitation is the highest compliment, and that's the way I always try to see it. I know that Bubbly Waters is another one who's been complaining about people stealing her material. A lot of content creators lately have been upset about other content creators stealing their material. And it is the highest compliment. If somebody is trying to pretend that your idea was theirs because they think it's such a good idea, but there's better ways to do it. It's great that we can inspire each other and play off of each other. And that's the way we can propel the cases forward exponentially, I believe. Um, it turns into a lot of drama and a lot of infighting, catfighting, and stupidity when people are doing that kind of thing and trying to rip other people's ideas off and take credit for them and that kind of thing. And Mark, you were like awesome last night with your I can't even remember who it was now, Paper Songs, who had the brilliant idea that you were running with, and you kept saying this was Paper Songs' idea. I didn't come up with this. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, he was talking about the last proof of life photo of not Kylie and those bulgy things in her pockets. That's what his live was about last night. And he did his live because of a comment that Paper Songs made, something like that she thought it looked like there were two cell phones in her pockets. And Mark was just like, how come I never thought of that? And I'm like, yeah, how come none of us ever thought of that? Like, that is what it looks like. I don't know if we'll be able to figure out what it is. We'll put Shan on it. She can probably break it down and figure out to a good probability of exactly what it is. But you were like so ultra careful, and I thought that was very respectful of you. And it's too bad that we have to be so concerned like that, that, we're trying to be so cautious that nobody's going to think we're trying to steal someone's credit. My husband and I have that joke. We're always like, I'm not going to take the garbage out if nobody's around to give me credit. But it's funny because if you take the garbage out and nobody's around, they'll still know that you did it because nobody was around when it went out, nobody but you. So you still get credit. But that's our big joke. Like, well, I'm not going to do it if I don't get credit. So that's our little inside joke. Credit. Okay, let's see. That gal was a doppelganger, made announcement, can't access her YouTube account. Which girl was a doppelganger that made announcement and you can't access her YouTube account, Annie? Please tell. I'm not sure who you're referring to. Briefs over the bodysuit is ridiculous. No one does that. Exactly. I mean, there's no point in wearing a bodysuit if you're going to put briefs over it. But there might be a point in putting briefs under a bodysuit. Like, I wouldn't think so, but I mean, I don't like the way thongs feel. I can't deal with that. So if I was going to wear a thong for some reason, I'd want to be putting something on underneath it. But I just wouldn't wear a thong. I'd go commando before I'd go thong. I know that's TMI. Yeah, the briefs over the bodysuit just like threw me a curveball. I was just like, the F are they talking about? Oh yeah, Heathers was awesome. Did not see Mean Girls. So Heathers, for anybody who doesn't know, see it. It was Christian Slater and Winona Ryder, and yeah, I want to say Mean Girls was Lindsay Lohan and I forget who else, but Heather's was badass, seriously badass. And I mean, it was kind of like over the top satire and really dark and dry, that kind of dark humor, but it was before Columbine. Like once Columbine happened, like that shit just wasn't funny no more, right? I mean, because Christian Slater like wants to blow up the school or is trying to blow up the school, but they're killing all the Heathers because there's like three Heathers and it's a popularity contest, and um it's just gross. It's really, really despicable, but it's so much like the cutthroat dog eat dog popularity contest of sororities or a small town like Truckee. And, I can't get over the feeling that there's that multi generational tit for tat and revenge and retribution, and that the lawsuits that Sammy's parents had been involved with, opposing Kylie Rodney's grandfather for 20 years, and looking into the future of who's going to hold the keys to Truckee. I can't help but think that that's what some of this was retribution and payback and revenge, and that that Kylie was a pawn. Kylie was a pawn, in my opinion, possibly. So, um, Kylie obviously had a natural talent for instruments and singing. I love her style. I really do love her style. But it appears in her face a lot wasn't done for joy, but job. That music didn't speak to her heart as others did. Um, well, yeah, I think there was a lot going on inside of her. I mean, she looked like uh, a volcano about to erupt. She looked very angry in a lot of her pictures and very sinister and unamused and unhappy. Um, there's very few pictures that I see of her where she looks relaxed and happy. Like there's the one of her on the horseback at the beach where she looks totally relaxed and happy. And I love that. Um, there's a lot of great pictures of her, but in many of them, there's just so much emotion in her face, and it's kind of frightening, quite frankly. I mean, some of those facial expressions are not facial expressions that a lot of kids that age would even have in their repertoire, in my opinion. Maybe not even some adults and grown-ups. Um, and yeah, it's too bad that she couldn't just speak her mind and speak her heart and let it rip and do what she needed to do. But she was 16 and she was probably doing it more than she used to. I mean, most kids by the time they're 16 are in full blown rebellion mode. And I'm speaking for my own history personally as a teenager, as well as a mom with um, three of my kids have gone through the 16 now. One of them is still in the 16. So it's not the funnest as a mom. It wasn't fun as a kid either. It was hard. It was very uncomfortable for me to be so um, angry and troubled. But it's a rough time. It's a rough period in your life. You're really trying to figure out your identity versus your role confusion. Like, who are we? And so much of who we are as teenagers is our friends. I mean, our friends are way more important than our family at that point. And that's quite a shift from when we're younger and our mom and our dad are the most important people. So, for Kylie, with that, what I just said, mom and dad, I can't imagine what that was like for her in that freaking house out there, hours away from civilization in a snowstorm. It's like freaking The Shining, the stepdad. And yeah, her dad was probably just like an hour away, but like, I don't know, it sounds like he was worlds away. And the grandfather, it seems like the grandfather was pretty tight with her, but most teenagers don't hang out with their grandparents too much. When I was a teenager, I did, but it's because I mean, I think grandparents are the bomb, and that kids and grandparents go together like peanut butter and jelly. There's just nothing better. Um, the bigger and closer to right the meanies come to wreck, in my opinion. Poise the noise. Hello, watching. Just wanted to say hi. Mean Girls had me and my country self wanting to throw hands. Hi, Poise the noise. Thanks for subbing. Oh, Mark, I am wondering if you know how to look and see who your subs are, because I don't. And just so you can see who just subbed and who unsubbed, so you can like call them out. No, I'm just kidding. Especially if it's like somebody that you know probably wouldn't unsub, but that the shadow banners are doing it. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'll look around on the system and try to talk to some people about it. The gal doing the little skit that looked like Kylie, thongs are E. coli wicks. I don't think I've seen this one. Annie, is this a new video? I want to bring up all those freaking videos that they had, like of the girl that looked a lot like Kylie that was tied up, like she was like hogtied with zip ties in the back hatch of an SUV. Like, you guys all remember that video, right? And if you don't, I'll see if I can find it, but it's probably been scrubbed from the internet. Um, and then, the scalper video that none of us were sure if it was Sammy, but wasn't it posted on one of Sammy's Facebook profiles? And so many others, like the one where she's wearing the headlamp at Boca. Um, the what was that? The chances of getting killed by your best friend. Yeah, yeah. Crazy, disgusting. E. coli wicks. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. I feel Kylie's grandpa was the one who cared and likely the one that called an AWP on the scene. Sad. And he was also the one that SF Investigates was buddied up with. And so was SF Investigates hired by somebody else and like planted to buddy up with him? Or like, what was that all about? Because he was like in their freaking house. He was in the lodge. He was like making besties with them right away. The grandpa, I think, gave him a key to the gate of the Lost Trail Lodge, like on day one. It was really, really creepy to me. Um, let's see. Mark, why did you retract your message? What's up with that? Uh, Did Lindsay do something? I am so sorry. Did Lindsay tick someone off or worse? I know, Mark. I know. But also, was she trying to make it look like um, something, trying to support the theory that maybe Kylie ran off and was depressed? Because that seemed like a script to me that they were trying to support in the media with their shenanigans, like with the stupid sweatshirt and stuff. The song, very unhappy Kylie song revealing. Oh, where can you hear that song, Mark? I want to put that song in my description if I can get a link to it. If you have a link to it, could you email it to me at justiceatooz@gmail.com? Or if anybody has a link to it, I would love it. Thank you. Thank you in advance. If you can and if you will. Annie, the country called AWP by tagging them constantly in posts. Oh, very cool. I didn't even know who AWP was, and then after looking, kept saying that's ridiculous. She's not in the lake, and that they had never worked on an active case. Like they simply did like cold cases, I thought. But then they also did the Julissa Fuentes case. That was weird. That remember Julissa Fuentes that went missing around the same time, and then like the freaking sheriff found her when he was off duty at midnight? Like, give me a freaking break. That's sus AF, you guys. We need to refocus on that county. I'm not sure what county that sheriff was. I mean, that sounds like a woo kind of thing to me. And, I think that Wu had some direct involvement with Kylie's case. And his son was at the party, allegedly. One of the many Nates. Um, let's see. Felt like life insurance grab. Kylie applied for emancipation, right? Breaking away. Mom, COVID cash, and owed it back, right? She was being investigated. Um, and Scami, did her family have policies? Who sells life insurance in Truckee? Such good questions. And also, her parents were probably really good at getting grant money. And there was probably a lot of grant money because of COVID, probably millions of federal dollars that Truckee was able to tap into. And Sam Scammy's parents probably would have been instrumental in that kind of thing. It sounds like that they did a lot of that. Annie, I agree, something stinks. My mom would tell me that I was going to pay for my raising, and oh, have I. That badge is very ADHD. I know, and there was no such thing as ADHD when I was a kid. I mean, even the dyslexia wasn't really identified, um, unfortunately. What happened? Um, Sunflower Dragon, hello. And Mark Molina says, it does show all my subs. I get it. Some notices there is a list of subs on the studio. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That is way cool. I can't believe I haven't ever looked at that I've had my channel for 14 months now and still haven't figured that part out. There's so much to it. You can drive to Lodge in 25 minutes without snow, right? It's only secluded in winter because they didn't plow dirt roads. Right. And that's 25 minutes from like the asphalt road to the lodge, right? Um, I mean, basically just their kind of like their driveway, so to speak. But going up by Coldwater Creek and uh, the Donner Party picnic area, Donner Memorial Park. I think that's a state park, and then going through that train tunnel. And yeah, in the winter time, you can't get up there with a car at all. Sometimes you have to either snowshoe or ski in, or maybe snow ski. I don't know. I mean, the thing in Tahoe is you have to be so careful of avalanches. So probably using the ski mobiles is just for that you have to be very selective and restrictive with how you do that. I mean, there's so many avalanches up there, you guys. It's freaking crazy. It is crazy. Um, let's see. Poise the noise. I've been a sub since your channel started. My notifications keep getting turned off lately. I keep having to turn back on. So freaking stupid. See, I think it's because I've been doing hashtag Kylie Rodney in a lot of my titles. And I'm wondering if I just do my hashtag justice for Kylie, if it'll deactivate that crap. Because when I was really focused on Idaho 4, not talking about Kylie Rodney, a lot of that stuff stopped. And, I'm not going to quit talking about Kylie because of the shadow banning. It's just not going to work. It's not. But I also want to keep my channel going strong. But there's no point in not speaking my truth. Absolutely 0 point to that. Um, and thanks for keeping track of that, Poise. Thank you for sharing. Jazz, you said Kylie was an actress and it made Scami older. I probably meant to say that Scami was an actress. I'm not sure. That's confusing. I hope I didn't do that. It's easy to make those mistakes. Um, I think Kylie was in a play, at least one that I've seen pictures of, and it seems like with those, summer camp things that she was involved in, that they did a lot of plays. Um, but yeah, I think that Scammy was took her acting more seriously. And then there was like a play or a musical that the two of them were in together when they were a lot younger, I think. You can see everything in your history. It shows YouTube history of all comments and posts and videos, etc. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of information. It's so hard sometimes when you're scrolling through your comments when in that part, I have gone to that part where it puts all your comments together in like chronological order from all of your videos. So it's like a mix and it's just like endless. It goes on for eternity. Um, I thought Kylie's aunt contacted AWP. Well, Kylie's aunt was the one that they contacted when they found her. That was the contact person that they were instructed to contact. And then she was instructed to then let everyone else in the family know. I will look for it. I forget where the song is. Sandra, I had twins. One full of heck screamed coming out. She just finished raising two teen girls. LOL, she got payback. Wow. Wow. Twins. I kind of like prayed for twins and not for twins with each of my pregnancies. Oh, look at that. Did you find it? Is that the goodness gracious. Is that the song, Mark? Sandra, I have no idea. Family member, certainly not mom. YouTube for several years just learned that you can click on the word history. I thought it was just for videos, but click on it. Laptop again opens up a whole new world. Yeah, I know. It's a little overwhelming, isn't it? Truckee City has attorneys to work with federal governments for subsidizing and funding of things. There's so much effery. Mrs. G was talking about how it's kind of landlocked because there's no very restricted growth area for Truckee because there's like a 1,500-foot drop off on one side. And um, yeah, I hadn't thought about that it can only get so big. And then when they have these developments and plans, those things take decades to get approved. And then I'm pretty sure that Kylie Rodney's granddad was instrumental in undoing some of those attempts at development. So that's where the 20-year lawsuit, I think, was that Scami's parents worked on, that they were contracted because they're attorneys. At least her mother's an attorney. I mean, they own that PI firm, but I know that both of her parents, they were doing government contracts. Like that's their thing. Like that's pretty much all of their income. I mean, I did a lot of research on that. A lot. And probably every city has lawyers for funding. Yes, from Coldstream. Thank you. I said Coldwater Creek, which is like a nice mail catalog company. I knew I wasn't getting it right, but I was like, wait a second. Okay, Coldstream at Donner State Park, and they have a gate to keep people out, right? And yeah, seriously, the Donner State Park picnic area, I mean, it's like a not funny joke. I mean, seriously. CB, while never lived in mountains or snow areas, I used to go back in that canyon before it was bought by PAP. It's a beautiful area to explore if you love nature. Oh, wow, CB. Yeah, I mean, really off grid was how they portrayed it when this case first started. They were like, this is a lodge that's off grid, and they would, really play that up. And it was kind of fascinating because there aren't a lot of places like that. Um, Poop. Okay, we were both confused. I am a dork, not in the groove. Blame it on the hurricane. What, Annie? What were we confused about? Um, it's okay. The link is the song. So cool, Mark. Look at you and your hyperlinks, dude. I'm very proud of you. That is amazing. Good job. Isn't that cool when you learn a new trick to this whole trade? Um, that's excellent, you guys. So now we can all listen to Kylie's song. Way cool. And yeah, I'll try to copy it and paste it into the description too. Is that the Nick G came from? The PI firm, is that the Nick G came from? I don't know if Nick G has a connection with the Sarah private investigators firm. Um, I don't know. And yeah, all that stuff with SF being a PI but not licensed in California. Like, why isn't he licensed in California if that's where he lives? Like, did he have his license stripped? Was it revoked? Was Were there complaints? I would imagine that there would be. I mean, the guy is just gross. Um, let's see. Annie, stay safe with the hurricane. Mark Molina, wow, really heard he was referee at Fight Club, but sabotagers would say that to reduce credibility. Um, and I also had heard that Check It was a referee at the Fight Club, but did you guys know? I just got this information from the Idaho 4 case and from my chat because you guys rock. And some of you were probably there when it happened. So Fight Club, we know that Brad Pitt starred in the movie, and Brad Pitt is a Sigma Chi fraternity member from when he went to college in Missouri. So thanks you guys for giving me that information. Um, so the Fight Club thing, I think, was huge in the Idaho 4 case. I think it's huge with this case too. Um, but with Brad Pitt being a Sigma Chi and Ethan and Xana being at a Sigma Chi party that Bethany was at, that they had said initially that the couple was only there for 45 minutes or so, and then they went home early, like at like 9. And then Xana was even like texting with her dad that they were just home watching a movie. And then 6 weeks into that case in the PCA, the lead detective said that Bethany's filled in the 5-hour gap and said that Ethan and Xana were at the Sigma Chi party the entire time. So suddenly it went from that they left at around 9 to that, oh no, they stayed at 9 and they were there until 1:45. Like, no, it's like something happened with a fight with Ethan, and I don't know who. I think that there's rumors that it was this person and that person and the other person. And I really wonder if it could have been Quinn Kelly. I really wonder if it could be Dylan DM's boyfriend that lives in Boise, who's never been to Moscow. Never, ever, ever. Because, he's got that car problem that it just won't drive 5 hours. Oh, but yeah, that whole Fight Club thing is so creepy too because that comes up in the Gabby Petito case, like disgusting, absolutely twisted. And the first rule with the Fight Club is you never talk about the Fight Club. So anybody who says anything about it is going to be a pariah, like MC. I'm wondering when MC was bragging that she was a pariah, I'm wondering if she thought that it was more like she didn't know the definition, that she thought that it was like being a pharaoh or a princess or something. Because you guys remember she was like, I'm a pariah. It's like, that is not something you freaking are happy about or brag about. Like, that's the worst thing to be. That's just ridiculous. She probably just didn't know the definition, is my guess. That area needs to stop building. Infrastructure can't handle it, but they keep going and it keeps my husband working. They didn't even stop during COVID. Well, money, 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 money. And the thing is, when cities have multi-million dollar contracts to build, that's when they can launder the money. That's where they can do the misappropriation of funds and play the shell game. That's what it's all about. So it's not so much the contracts and the development, it's all the free reign that um, corrupt people take advantage of with it. So they have to have the contracts going. They have to have the buildings, the development. Otherwise, they don't have anything for their shell game. So, and then if they already have a shell game and they have a Ponzi scheme, they're going to be found out if they don't keep it coming, you know? And I learned that from a special on cable TV. I mean, just like Netflix or Hulu or something like that. It really broke it down quite simply. I'll see if I can find something and put it in the links because it was good to see it. Like I already was aware of it, but I didn't know like how simple it is to break it down like that. Um, let's see. But yeah, CB, so you're right there. Such a gorgeous area. Mark, are you doing the link via laptop or phone? I clicked on the link and saved it to my playlist. Thank you, Mark. And Sandra, he says, I'm on a laptop. CB says, seems like fight clubs are a thing these days. This new generation has no morals. Well, and it's just, yeah, it's again, like I always go back to the gladiator thing. It's like this animalistic need that humans have for that kind of gore and that kind of aggression, in my estimation. No timeline, law enforcement. That is 101 crime solving. The dog never barked, but maybe the dog was used to people coming and going. Right, right. I mean, just like I said it recently, just something as simple as um, the things that Lindsay threw out there that she had interacted with Kylie, I think by text, and Kylie said she was going to go to the gym and some other stuff. And did she go to the gym or not? And if she did go to the gym, what time? Like, she probably didn't go to the gym because that was never really a thing. But why was that never brought up? It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. These people. Borrowing of truck works for Quinn, as well as causing 911 delay to let him get back to Boise. Right. And then there's the whole thing with like the big black truck that Ian Harsh says he saw pulling up to the house in the wee hours of the morning. I think I'm kind of sketchy on that, kind of foggy. It's been a while. Let's see. Mark, it is difficult to drop a link or explain. Is it difficult to drop a link or explain? So when you're a mod is the only time you can drop a hyperlink. So you can drop a link as not a mod, and then a mod can turn it into a hyperlink. Um, but yeah, I don't know if he has. Okay, I copy and paste the link. Works for me. Very cool. Um, have you seen the video, A Reflection, that show Ethan being knifed? There's so many weird things coming out right now. I kind of avoid a lot of it because I think a lot of it's just insanity, and hype. But if it's bubbly waters, I pay attention to it because, that girl knows how to dig and then dig some more. So, um, I don't know. I mean, a lot of it is just so, creepy. So no, I haven't seen that one. I've not seen that one. Have you seen the video, A Reflection that shows Ethan being knifed? Actually, maybe I did. Maybe I've seen it in the last couple of days. And it probably was a bubbly water, right? I don't know. It's just like freaking mashed potato brain. That's why I try to be very selective about what I watch and only watch the channels that I really trust, which is just getting to be more and more limited. Um, there's so much crap out there and so much clickbait, and we don't need that. We just don't need it. Awesome. Then I already know how. I just didn't know it. Thanks. Very cool. So where are we at? We're just over an hour. I have all these notes that I haven't even looked at once. Let's see. Uh, I had noticed in the presser that they did today for the shooter in Maine, and I wanted to share this with you guys just so we can put it into our hive brain and kick it around and see what we can come up with for educational purposes only, of course. That in the presser that there was an ATF officer standing in the background and an HSI official agent. So that's what it said right on their shirts. ATF police and HSI official agent. And I don't know what an HSI is. Do you guys know? I didn't even Google it. I didn't even ask Google. We're not on we're not on speaking terms right now. I was so disappointed that Google doesn't know anything about these meetings that were had with Freud and Alfred Adler and Karen Horney and Carl Jung. Like, how could Google not know this stuff? I just want to know, like, the years that they had them, and did they call them salons or did they call them parlors or both? And were they every Monday night or were they like one Monday a month? Or for some reason, I'm thinking it was Mondays. I could be wrong about that. But I just can't believe that Google has no freaking clue what I'm talking about. Like, what? I have to go back to my freaking textbooks to find it? Oh, Mark. So I wanted to talk about your video from last night, and I'm going to put a link to it. So thank you for your awesome video. Um, let's see. It's their CSI. Thank you, Susan Dodge. You're awesome. You rocketh. It's just so cool that you guys are like more reliable than Google and quicker too, and easier and nicer. Okay, Homeland Security investigation. Excellent. I'd say that's probably correct. That's a really good guess because you have a question mark, Bex. See, you guys are so smart. So smart. Okay, and I want to talk about Gigi. Have you guys thought about Gigi in a while? I know I haven't. The little freaking redhead in the Arkansas redhead in the Idaho 4 case. The one with the "you're fired" letter, who was just sure that BK got that letter and then he popped off. Like, she literally used that term. And then he popped off. Like, that chick was popping off. Okay. So, where do I start with your awesome video, Mark? Where do I start? Let's just start at the top of my page here. About, you had asked the question, can you just walk into an FBI headquarters, and has anyone does that? Can't even speak. Can you just walk into an FBI headquarters if they will let you in, and has anyone done that? So I like to keep things under my hat, you guys know, because that's just the best way to be. But I wanted to share that I have done that a handful of times. The way you do it, and hopefully there won't be, like, backlash from this if somebody from the FBI sees it and they're like, "Oh, that bitch." Don't tell people. Okay, usually your FBI buildings are not marked except for like the one in DC, the main headquarters, but they're in pretty much every city. So you can look online and you can find the addresses. And then when you find the building, there's like the chain link fence with the barbed wire, and it just looks like it's a phone company building or something. And it's just very nondescript. Um, and they've got all these cameras, of course, and I kind of liken it to The Incredibles, if you've seen that cute little kids cartoon. The times I've done it, I've been successful with getting my foot in the door. And the way I've done it is by dressing up, dressing very professional, carrying a briefcase as a prop, like literally. Like you really need to dress for the job. Um, and then being as polite as I possibly can be, because when you're ringing the doorbell, I'm sure a lot of times they look and they just don't even respond. Um, but just be persistent and not annoying, that fine line. And then if and when they say go away or can I help you, be super polite, be as polite as you possibly know how, be as concise and precise as you possibly can, introduce yourself, don't put on any airs at all, and answer any questions that they have directly. And for me, that's worked to get myself in the door. And keeping that up, the being concise, being as polite as humanly possible, and being open and honest. And uh, that's all I can say. So let's see. What does ATF mean after the fact? It's like firearms, right? That's what the F is, firearms. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Thank you. I always forget because I just don't touch those things. I mean, I don't actually. As of course I have. I won't deny that. But I am so happy for myself that I can steer clear of that stuff because that's an easy. Those are easy vices to be enmeshed with and to have a hard time getting away from. Wicked Smash. What, Bex? I don't know what SMAHT is, if that's a typo or if you meant to do that one. Um, let's see. Biden, AFT, sorry. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Nicole Clark. Hello. Good addition there. Very, very good. Thank you for that. And yeah, maybe related to my confusion, and I should have known that ADHD, smart jazz, Maine accent. Um, Wicked smart. Thank you, Bex. The Maine accent. Yeah, the Boston accent is the best. When I hung out in Boston one summer, that cracked me up. Go to the car. Those silly Bostonians. And, the people up there in Maine, they definitely have a very similar accent. It's pretty cute. So let's see. I wanted to talk about I think it was in your video, Mark, that might have been Shan's. It could have been both because we're all kind of cross-pollinating, I like to say, and I think it's completely awesome. So thanks for cross-pollinating with me. Um, One of you used the term, and I think it was you, Mark, that Kylie was thrown to the wolves by her friends. Maybe it was Billy Darling and Shan. Anyway, that term, that phrase really resonates with me. She really was thrown to the wolves by the frenemies and the family. I mean, like, WTF? Like, that's what's so heartbreaking. That's what keeps me so hooked on Kylie is that, like, yeah, she might be done and dusted. She might be deceased, but in her honor and in her memory, she needs justice. Like, you don't do that with a person. You don't just discount them. I've got bills to pay. Like, that sentence coming from the person who gave birth to her, it seemed like it was a week after she was discovered. I've got bills to pay was the most horrifying and mind-blowing, in my opinion, as a mother or just as a person. I mean, yeah, we all always have bills to pay. Like, that's not your concern when you lost your freaking kid. That was probably, to me, in my opinion, the biggest red flag of all. I've got bills to pay. Like, you really said that on camera to the public? Like, are you just stupid? Was she stoned? I mean, seriously, you guys, like, what? WTF? WTF? You aren't going to mention what I said about organization evil. Probably better not to say out loud. I'm kind of like, so yeah, I won't. I'm not just like laying low and playing it cool. I'm just kind of like, okay. So if you want to fill me in, if you want to send me an email, you got the address justice, ATOOZ @gmail.com. Please do if you'd like. This is probably Shan's live, but I've said similar in a live. So cold. Yeah, Susan Dodge. That's a good way to phrase it. That's pretty spot on right there. Yeah, we do want to stay under the radar, don't we? We all want to fly under the radar. That's pretty much the best way to do anything. Um, but we want justice for Kylie and we want that damn California Highway Patrol report. We want the truth. Annie Ruler says, I have a relative was so excited when the Mean Girls invited her to a party. She was rugged, aped, afraid preg, so off herself. All good now. AA junior leader. SS was the mean girl, in my opinion. Oh, Annie, I'm so heartbroken for her. And that's what that gross Luckiest Girl Alive movie is about too. I mean, that's what these twisted kids do. And especially when they're jealous and threatened, the trickery, the evil. And yeah, then the victim is like, oh, I've been invited to this party. How nice. Oh, so freaking horrible. And did she quote unquote off herself? Was it like a natural, accidental, self-inflicted kind of fatality so that she wouldn't talk? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Um, so you guys, we are getting close to an hour and 20, so it might be good to wind down and wrap up. Let me drink a little more agua. I don't know what the double A junior leader is. If you want to help me out with that, Annie Ruler. Just so sad for your relative. Yeah. Scammy was the social organizer, like the master of the party plan. Also makes me think of the movie Clueless, which I love that movie. I call it a modern day classic. Um, and yeah, just the whole like social queen bee, like she was the go-to. And MC really uh demonstrated that when she talked about that her son was having trouble with his grades. So she had her daughter ask Scami to ask to talk to him to then get the information back to the mom. Like that was bizarre, wasn't it? Mean girl mom, 15-year-old asked to help Prager your problem found puking rugs, ICU, etc. Was watching an older video with Creek Squad. How does Scammy get away with selling drinks at parties? Straight up says Venmo Sammy Bono. I know, CB, thank you for bringing that up. And especially because I put a link into the video description before I even started this video for a brand new to me Creek Squad reaction person. And I just found it this morning and I just loved her. I thought she was great. So she's like she has a couple thousand subs and she's very professional and she's all about Ryan Upchurch and his music. But this was like the one video that she was doing talking about the lawsuit against Upchurch from Kylie Rodney's parents. And I thought she broke it down really well. It's about a 25-minute video. And thank you so much for saying that because you reminded me that I wanted to mention her, the link to her video. Um, and she just had a very level head about the whole thing. And, she was very uncomfortable talking about it because it's not true crime is not her forte. And I don't know that Upchurch has talked about any other true crime stuff, but obviously he's very good at it. And I only learned about him through the Kylie Rodney case, and then found out that he was first a stand-up comedian, and that's how he started his YouTube career before he started doing his music. And then, getting into the Kylie Rodney case, maybe one of the reasons he got into the Kylie Rodney case was the kinship that he felt with her because she was a young musician, a young artist. Um, Maybe it's just because he's a decent person and this was such a disgusting, ridiculous story. The story is preposterous. That's my word of the day. Preposterous. Everything that comes out of Sammy's mouth, preposterous. Um, and yeah, the things that Jägermeister said, and again, was this on Shan's last live, or or it might have been on this Creek Squad thing. I'll have to go back and look. But just breaking down what Yeager was saying about in his interview with the news in Reno about like why they went there and how that was probably the last place that they knew where she was at. Because why would they go to Reno? Why not Auburn? Why not Sacramento? Why not Kings Beach or, Grass Valley or all these other local areas? Why Reno? Um, I mean, Reno's not a place for a 16-year-old girl to hang out. I mean, we all know that Yeager took the news crew on a wild goose chase through Reno that like they followed him from Truckee there, maybe. They were following him with their little news camera. And then they went up to what I call Inspiration Point, and the freaking newscasters like, and this is where they would come to spend time together. It's like, could you sound more like Happy Days Fonzie? I mean, like this is a really private thing. Like that's just weird the way they were talking about it. Speaking of which, Mark, I really enjoyed the way you were like so shy and talking about the phones in the pockets of the pants. So Mark was very uncomfortable with that and was saying, maybe it'd be better if a female spoke about this. And maybe saying, the phone's in the pockets rather than in the pants because it can just be taken the wrong way. J and K, a fake story, and sus. Yeah, I agree. I think it was a way to be clear and far from the scene and why have a reporter there. Um, and you know what I hate? This always comes to mind with what you just said. Whenever I think about the whole thing with them going to Reno, is when Scammy, the social organizer, was organizing the search party, and she's like, "Anybody want to go to Reno? Oh, you? Okay, great." Like, do you remember that from Ground Zero? Like, it was obnoxious, like just so bizarre, like unbelievable. Again, the queen bee, the chick in charge, like she's 18 and she's the last person to see her, allegedly. And she's confessing to plying her with underage drinking. These people. Karma's a bitch, man. Karma's a biatch. And she's got all of our numbers. So just more inspiration to be a good person and do the right thing if you needed any more inspiration, right? So, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, please hit that like button if you'd be so kind. Share, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. It's always a delight to have my crew here with me. I love you guys. I do. And I hope you have a really good afternoon. It's Friday. I hope you are getting ready to have a very nice weekend and spoil yourself, take care of yourself. Sometimes doing nothing is the best thing, right? Just like staying in your PJs all day, just being a couch potato. I don't do that a lot, but I do enjoy it when I do it. But I enjoy being busy. So, I mean, I feel like I give myself a lot of freedom to do what I want to do, and I enjoy structure. I enjoy feeling productive. Um, I enjoy projects. I love projects. I'm like a little kid with that when, it can seem so overwhelming, like gardening, and then I get into it and I just can't freaking stop. So I have to like be careful with what I start because I do have trouble putting something down. Like I've told you guys again and again, I'm just like an all or nothing type of person. So I just jumped into this YouTube science experiment with both feet and started doing videos pretty much every day. I've gone over 450 videos. I meant to tell you guys that because the last time I checked, it was like 448, and that was a few days ago. And I did at least one day where I did two videos. So yeah, I'm sure it's probably about 453 or four, I would guess. I could look on my phone, but that's okay. Anyway, Pixie Knickers, you just get here, or you just being quiet all this time? Um, so yeah, what was I talking about? My phone and 450 videos plus in 14 months, you guys. Like that is like way more than averaging one a day. And there's certainly days where I haven't made videos and probably even like an entire week once or twice where I didn't make a video. Like when I went to Florida when my aunt passed away and stuff like that. Or when my computer crashed and burned. What was that? Memorial Day weekend where I didn't have a cell phone or a laptop and I thought I was going to die. And I survived the freaking weekend. And then it just like went on and on and on, like much longer than just the weekend. I'd have to look. But yeah, that just about killed me. So it just made me appreciate it all that much more when I could get back on. Um, No, I said hi a few minutes in. You must have accidentally missed it, or maybe I saw it and then forgot. That's entirely possible too. I apologize either way. Um, So yeah, always lovely to see all of you. Thanks so much, you guys. Again, take care of yourself, eat well, exercise, get your rest, your relaxation, stay hydrated, be kind, demand respect and kindness from others. And check out Mark's live from last night. Check out Shan's live from last night. Shan's live from last night is really cute because she's just like crafting and they're talking spooky stories. I mean, I love her stuff. So, and they're talking about the case too, but it's a very different gear than most of her lives. So just to prepare you if you are going to watch it. And I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes. It's not that long. I think I was in the chat for a little bit, but not long. Yeah, I remember I got in there 5 minutes in and stuck around for a bit and then probably for like the first 45 minutes or something. AA holds seminars for youths 20 now. Thank you, Annie Ruler. I knew that I knew what AA was. I was just like so drawing a blank. It's hilarious. I told you guys yesterday, I draw a lot of blanks when I'm on my lives. And the AA, like that's insane that I drew that blank. So thanks for filling my in. Thanks for filling me in. Thanks for filling in my blank brain. You guys, thanks for accepting me, warts and all. I mean, when I reviewed my video yesterday, I was just like, man, somebody who'd want to be a hater could really have enjoyed my video yesterday because I was just like fixing all the mistakes that I made and talking about like the whole thing with Freud when I got his age wrong, his birth year. He was born in 1856. I know that. I'm pretty sure. 1856 was the year Freud was born. He died, I think, when he was 83. So if you do some math, sometime in the 1900s. Oh, the thing I wanted to say about Freud and Jung is that even though they were only like best friends or in their bromance or whatever it was, tight for 6 or 7 years, that when Freud died, Carl Jung, I believe, wrote his obituary. So, um, they remained close even though they were on a non-speaking terms. So that says a lot, doesn't it? An interesting relationship. Um, but also, I mean, you know, just so many complexities. Um, I am gonna sign off. Love you, light and love. Love to all. Spread the love. I do have my love will save the day. And any other secret messages? Yes, my tranquility. Subliminal messages. So peace out, you guys. Thanks again. See you on the next one. Have a great weekend.